Hey everyone. I want to come on live and talk to you today about a question that came up inside of a special discussion group meeting planning session that I had for clients only yesterday. And so this wasn't one of the original things I was going to talk about, but I think it's super relevant to a lot of people. And so I wanted to come live and talk about, should you be writing? So a lot of people, I think, right now fall into two camps, right? There's probably more camps, but to oversimplify, fall into two camps. Like you're home and you are thinking, there's no way that I can write because I have way too much going on trying to get my classes online and trying to take care of dependents at home. So I'm hearing that. But then there's another group of people who is like, I find kind of grounding and solace and protection in my writing, and I have goals. And so I'm going to use this time that I'm now trying to stay home or quarantined at home even to get more writing done. I don't want to let go of my writing practice. And so I wanted to talk today about this idea, like, should you be writing? Like, should you be writing no matter what? I love that book, but I actually don't agree with the sentiment, write no matter what. I think that what I want to share with you today is a series of questions and things to think about to decide whether right now is the time to try to hold on to or even ramp up your writing practice, or if right now is not that time for you. And if it's not, then what kinds of things can you do to like reintegrate your writing practice after a lull? So inside of all of my paid programs, so the writing roadmap course, Amplify, and Elevate, inside of those programs, I teach about how to create writing systems. And you've heard me say on the podcast and in other places, I don't believe in a write every day system. And that's because I feel like it is more likely to set, especially women, up for failure if they can't do write every day. Okay, this is a perfect example. If your way of getting your writing done is this, don't break the chain, write no matter what, get 30 minutes in every day. If that's your whole system, then what are you doing right now? Like if like the whole world is now on, in an upheaval. So instead, inside of my programs, I teach the very basic kind of, it's not basic, it's the sturdy bottom layer of the writing systems that I teach is the Tiger Time method that you might have heard me talk about in my podcast episode number 2. And then I'm going to be talking about in my webinar, my free webinar that I'm going to do on Monday. More information on that to come. So with that Tiger Time method, what we're looking to do is save your best times of day for writing, or reserve those and block them off. And if we do that, then we only really need, and what I encourage people to start out at is 1 to 2 hours once or twice a week, as long as those hours are during your Tiger Time. So again, I'll teach you exactly what Tiger Time is on Monday in our free webinar. You can also listen to podcast episode number 2 for more information there. But the other things that I teach around writing systems in my program involve different kinds of layers of different strategies you can use to combine to make a system. But underlying it all is this idea that you need to create a positive relationship with your writing. And right now, if that seems impossible to you, if it seems completely too overwhelming to think about sustaining your writing practice through the next couple of weeks, that's okay. Because when you learn about writing systems and how to create one that works for you, you have the skills to get back on the horse. If you fall off the wagon, right? If you fall off the writing wagon, you have the tools to get back on again in a way that maintains that positive relationship with your writing. And that's what we were talking about today in a special group call that we had inside of my Amplify program. So I wanted to bring some of that to you all. So again, the two camps. So I think that it's definitely for some people, this is exactly the time that maybe there's actually freer time in your schedule now. Here's some ways that that might be possible. I know I, for one, am really enjoying not having to drive the kids to school and pick them up. That has liberated 2 whole hours of my day, in addition to the hour of the day that I spend getting kids dressed and doing all the morning things and shuffling them out the door. So that's 3 extra hours I have in my day. Yes, they are hours when my children are with me. So, but I do feel like much calmer in the morning because I'm not trying to like shove them out the door, right? So in some ways, school being canceled and you probably being told by your university that you need to stay home is liberating in terms of time. You've liberated some hours of the day. Now, obviously, there's other things that have gotten put on your plate, but let's just talk about the positive for a second. Also, like maybe you can't have so many meetings. Now, maybe people are making you have online meetings, but let's just look at the positive side and say like, well, maybe you since you don't have to go to physical meetings, maybe there's some time alleviation there. So maybe for you, and it's going to be different for everybody, you have actually a little more time and you might want to use that time for writing. Maybe you have goals. I was talking to one of our clients yesterday and she's like, my birthday's coming up and I told myself that I was going to have this book out by my birthday, and damn it, I'm going to have it out. So maybe you have a goal like that you're like, I'm not going to let all of this other noise stop me from reaching my writing goals. So maybe this is the perfect time for you to really sustain that writing practice, in a way, of course, always that is gentle with yourself, that involves understanding that there's extra anxiety and stress and all of that. But maybe on the other hand, there are a lot of you that need to hear the message that it's also okay to take a writing hiatus and then ramp back up again. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how you might do that. So here's some reasons that you are totally justified in taking a writing hiatus. All of a sudden, like overnight, many of us have been asked to put our courses online. And not only that, we're asked to put our courses online at the same time that we are at home with family members who are normally not here. All right. Now, for some of us, they're children. And so we are supposed to care for them, possibly homeschool them, according to information that schools are sending home. And at the same time, put all of our courses online, which is a huge amount of extra work, and, sustain the other parts, our research and our writing. So it's really understandable if right now you can't do all of those things. I think that a lot of my audience are overachievers, right? They're high achieving women. And so they don't want to feel like they can't accomplish what they are told by their universities to accomplish or what they feel it's their responsibility to accomplish, right? So even though we don't have magic wands to wave our courses and make them magically online, we feel like we should be able to do that. But truthfully, everything has been completely rearranged in the last few days, and it's still very early in this process. So I would say that you get at least a week of grace period where you are finding your footing and you're figuring out, okay, what does my day going to look like with my kids at home? How am I going to plan it out? What are my goals going to be? How many hours do I feel like I can actually work from home? All of this you're going to be figuring out this week and probably next week. So I was telling this story today earlier to my group, and I said, like, look, when we were isolated inside of our house because of the hurricane, when I live in Puerto Rico, and in 2017 we had Hurricane Maria, and we were basically trapped in our property. We're fine. It was fine. But we had a lot of chainsaw work and digging to be able to clear the road enough to get a vehicle out, right? Thankfully, we had power and light because we live off the grid, and so we were cool. It was fine. But we did not immediately figure out a daily routine. It took some days to like just get your bearings. Like, you're completely changing from one week to the next the material circumstances of your life. So you have to give yourself some grace around that and give yourself some space as well. So if right now what your main goal is to figure out how you're going to structure your days with the kids at home, or what you're going to do with the kids at home, that is totally fine. And what you'll need to do, though, when you decide it's time to go back to writing, is just really pull back and then ramp up again. So, for example, one thing that I would, if you're feeling this way, if you're feeling like I can't think about writing right now, then one thing you could do, if you're worried about it, if you're not worried about it, you don't have to do this, obviously, but one thing that you could do is just get out your calendar, and this week, just write adjustment week. And next week, write, 1 hour of writing. And then next week, 2 hours of writing, and you ramp up very slowly, again, using Tiger Time and writing 1 to 2 hours a day, 1 to 2 days a week only. So that could be, in that little description, it could be 1 hour once a week. And that's it. And then you ramp up slowly again, because you can't be expected to live out your career this week the same way that you did last week. And I talk a lot in my programs about kind of the semester ebb and flow. And there's always a moment in the semester where I call it the moment where the semester hits the fan. I have a podcast about that too. And things kind of feel like, oh my gosh, so much grading, blah, blah, blah. That's what this is, except times 100. So like, I advise people to not worry too much about their writing. Just open the document. Just spend an hour. Like really, really pull back on your goals severely so that you keep going, but with a much, much, much lowered expectation. So I hope that this was helpful in you thinking about whether you actually should be writing or not. You have my permission to not write, until you're ready. And, really, like, I want you to be gentle and thoughtful. And what I want, I think, like, what I try to help coach people to do is to be in control and to don't feel like I'm not writing because I can't, but actually choose. Like, say, I'm not writing because I choose not to. Like, that you choose when you are writing and you choose when you're not. And that's how we get rid of guilt and overwhelm around writing. One thing you could do if you can't get writing done, or you've decided, okay, this is not the week for writing, but you want to do something, one thing you could do is listen to the podcast, right? Like, if you've never heard my podcast, it's very instructional. So if you go back and you listen from the beginning, you will learn things that you can then implement when you're ready to turn to your writing again. Another thing you can do, of course, is join one of my programs. We have the roadmap opening up soon for enrollment. That's my online course. And we also have Amplify and Elevate. Amplify is my year-long program for pre-tenure women, and Elevate is my 6-month program for post-tenure women, which we are going to be opening up again for enrollment in June. So things to think about. And all you need to do is, head on over to my website, or if you want more information, go to writing@kathymazak.com. And we will we can, you can apply for Amplify or Elevate, and just stay tuned for more information about the roadmap because we are opening the doors imminently. This Monday, we are having a webinar, and the webinar is 5 steps to maintaining your writing practice during this crisis. So if you are one of those people who is looking to maintain her writing practice, or wants to have the tools to do it, I got a bee in my ear. If you want to have the tools to do it in a week or 2 weeks from now, then come to the webinar. We're going to be posting a registration page very soon. It will be hopefully in your hands tomorrow. If you are on my email list, I sent an email today, and in the PS of that email is a link that you can use to register with one click. And so I hope to see you on Monday for the webinar, and have a wonderful day. Bye.